Greetings and welcome back, gentles and ladiesmen, to another Shrek-tastic episode of Star Fox Zero.
First of all, you rolled your R for too long, and now you're bringing up Shrek again?
Yeah, but Shrek is love, Shrek is life, Haedox.
No, you don't need to meme.
Now, see, right there, I went left, but the game's like, no, you want to go right.
Yeah, that happens a lot in this final stage, and it's annoying, isn't it?
Yeah, so, like, if you want to go in a specific direction, you better be sure that you're... I think that's a problem in 64 as well, and actually in Kid Icarus Uprising. Like, I remember...
It's not that big of an issue in Kid Icarus.
Well, I mean, like, I remember Pandora's Labyrinth of Deceit, like, the flying section. Yeah. Like, you have to, like, pick the right pathway, and sometimes they fake you out. So, like, if you don't pick the right one, but sometimes... if you don't go far enough, then it doesn't count as going that direction. So that's what I was thinking of.
It's a weird thing. Like, when I first played this too, I was so confused that it wasn't letting me go the way I wanted to go, and I got very upset.
Yeah, you just gotta make sure you go hard enough.
Yeah, exactly. Now, this might be spoiling it. I could be wrong in remembering stuff, but isn't that a person supposed to lead you through this labyrinth?
Yes, that is. I mean, my guess is that if you remember the pathway yourself, you probably get a medal. Mm-hmm. But
okay, there he is.
Yeah, so if you lose twice, then Fox's father, James McCloud, will appear and lead you on the proper pathway to the boss. And
now, does this mean he's not dead, or is this an apparition?
I think it's supposed to be an apparition, and it's a little more ambiguous in this game, because like in 64, after you beat Andross Brain, he leads you out of Andross's labyrinth. Yeah, and he's clearly supposed to be a ghost. But in this game, he does appear after this section, and another character does see him. So it's sort of like implied that maybe it's like a ghost. Or maybe, like, when he was destroyed by Andross, he became something else entirely, kind of like a Force ghost. I don't know.
Yeah. You know what would be kind of a cool Star Fox plot?
What?
Is, after this game, say if they wanted to make another one, Fox is like, oh my, my father might not be dead after all. And then the whole next game is him trying to find his father.
Well, you want to know what's weird about Star Fox Command is that, like, literally half the plots for the levels, I think, are just that, oh yeah, this character that we thought was dead is actually still alive. But they never thought to do that with James McCloud.
Wait, they never did that in Command with James McCloud either?
Like, Oikini comes back for one level, Andross comes back for one level as just like as a ghost of some kind. And I'm sure there's more, but, you know, never James.
That's very odd. That they wouldn't have James in that if they're doing all that jazz too.
Yeah, it is kind of weird. Maybe he does show up, like as like a support character. Like you have multiple characters you control at once. It's a I'm sure you've played it before, right?
Command? I've played a little bit of Command.
By the way, I don't think you ever introduced yourself, kind sir.
Oh, I'm Haedox, if you couldn't tell. I'm the person that hates video games, Nintendo games specifically.
Yeah.
So this is my favorite boss fight of all time. I cannot tell you how much trouble I had with this boss fight.
So what exactly did you have trouble with?
So first of all, navigating this cylinder was an issue because I kept running into the sides.
Right. Well, you can go out as far as you want. That actually makes it a little easier to dodge the lasers because you have a little more time.
It's still a bit hard to like control and know where you're flying with the camera angle.
Yeah, I do suppose you're right about that. I didn't think it was too big of a deal, but I do see it.
It took me a good 5 minutes to get used to, and it was very tedious.
Right,
and then in here, my issue was that I couldn't aim properly. Like, I had a very hard time aiming, even when I was using the gamepad.
Really?
Yeah. And then that would happen too. I would switch into the R-wing and then fly away and get hit.
I mean, really, like, all I'm doing here is standing in place and shooting. I didn't have any... Was it like a calibration issue, or...?
It might have been. I That's what I would assume, but it just was a bit difficult for me to aim. And then, like, it was also very claustrophobic, I felt.
I suppose, maybe just a bit. But you have, like, the dodge roll, the barrel roll.
Yeah, but when I was playing too, when I was trying to dodge roll, like, I always had a hard time doing that with the camera too. Like, I could never get used to where I was going to dodge roll and such.
Yeah, I find that if you do a couple, you always manage to avoid his attacks here.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like, you were using target view, right? To lock onto him?
I was.
Okay. Yeah, that helps. That helps too, because you strafe with the left stick when you're in that mode. I do get... He does manage to get me once. That's just because, like, I think it's the lasers on the cylinder that got me. So, like, basically what happens is if you once you damage Andross enough, he'll send out this laser wall, and then you gotta get out of the cylinder before you get consumed. And you basically gotta dodge the lasers, kind of like in the attack carrier fight, so...
And this is kind of janky a little bit, too.
Just
a tad.
Like, I find what works is to just sort of, like, fly up to the edge of the perimeter and then just sort of keep going on straight and then just weave up and down to get around. The camera is a little close to the cylinder here. I mean, it's not perfect, but I didn't think it was as bad as Andross Brain, honestly.
Oh, how'd that happen? How'd you get in there?
There was a hole.
There was a hole?
Yeah,
I did not see the hole. It looked like you phased through the wall.
There was a hole in the. You'll be able to see it when that part gets uploaded.
All right.
Or if you want to go back and look at the little part I sent you after this, but yeah, I should have dodged out of the way there, but
it's hard though, cause it's so I don't know. I don't really like this fight. Because it felt very claustrophobic to me, and I remember I just couldn't aim that well.
I mean, I can kind of get the sense of that claustrophobia, because like, you're locked to him, and you don't move fast enough when you're going left and right while you're locked on, I think is what it is.
Yeah, the camera in back of you, there's some, I don't know how to describe it that well, but since the camera's so close to your back, it's also very awkward. Especially when you back up.
Yeah, because the wall is a little too close. So, because like whenever I try to do a dodge roll, it seems like I'm rubbing against the wall.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying, I think.
It was very... Oh, there you go. Uh-oh. Is this where he gets you?
I think... Not today. Not today, Woody.
Woody?
Yeah. You've seen Toy Story, right?
I have seen Toy Story. Have you been playing the Toy Story game for Dreamcast?
Maybe. But there's like a part in the first movie where it's just like, this is the part where we blow up! Not today! And then he like opens his wings and then the rocket explodes, but they fly down into the moving van.
Oh.
Ooh, yeah. Oh. This is why you don't want to fly too close to it, because sometimes polygons will come out and hit you.
Oh, just like the video game site.
Oh yeah, the polygon. Yeah, like they're written on the polygons are things like the Wii U's game gimmick was a sham the whole time, and the gamepad can never work.
The Wii U was originally just a dead console, and
that Nintendo brought back to life to begin with.
It's like, you know, for all that people say about the Wii U, it has a lot of potential. It has a lot of missed potential too, in my opinion.
Yeah, because, not to spoil too much, Haedox, but it is my impression from your review that, oh, this attack reminds me a lot of the SNES game, because he's spitting the polygons at you. That's cute.
Except it's claustrophobic again. That's my main gripe. The huge gripe I have with this boss fight.
I mean, like, I didn't feel like it was too difficult to dodge his attacks, because they're telegraphed well enough. And, like, see, like, right there, I had plenty of time to get out of the way and figure out that that's what I was supposed to do.
Yeah.
And,
so what were you saying about...
so, like, it is my impression from your review, Mr. Haedox, that you did not like Star Fox Zero.
I did not.
Yeah.
You are very valid. I did not like Star Fox Zero. I'm gonna be perfectly honest and say that I didn't. I guess the main reason why is because I don't know about any of you, but whenever I play a game, I'm talking to the audience and you, I guess. Whenever I play a game, I want to feel compelled in what I'm playing. I do like arcade shooters if they're done well enough and like they're easy to pick up and play. There isn't like a big learning curve like there is in Star Fox Zero, arguably. Like the whole point of arcade shooters, in my opinion, is that they're easy to pick up and play. You can play them almost any time and have fun with them. The problem with Star Fox Zero is because the controls take so long to get used to, in my opinion, that it doesn't work that well as an arcade shooter.
Right. Well, do you think that if you were to play it again, you'd have a more enjoyable experience since you've gotten over that learning curve?
Maybe. I don't know if I'd want to play it again, especially when I can play other games.
Well,
That's
yeah,
sort of the thing.
You're pretty busy with all the stuff you review.
Yeah. It's like, I would like to give it another go. I'm not sure how the controls would be if they were different. Like, if they had maybe how Assault controlled their R-Wings.
Well, I mean, like, but like for the R-Wing control, yeah, but it's just, a lot of people hate the controls for like yeah, there I died because I got too close to the wall, but a lot of people hate the controls for the ground combat in Star Fox Assault because it's like, it controls like Metroid Prime and people are used to having their dual analog again, but it's just, if you learn to press L to strafe in the single stick mode, then it's very comfortable and easy to play in my opinion. But not everybody's gonna want to do that. I didn't really have that much
trouble with Assault.
Like, when was the first time you played it?
When I was a kid.
Yeah. So, like, my guess is that it didn't click with you right away, and you probably had to learn it a bit. Mm-hmm. But it's just not something you remember as easily because it happened so long ago. Mm-hmm. I mean,
I don't remember
that was more or less my experience. Like, when I played Metroid Prime in the GameCube for the first time, like, I was able to jump right in because I was used to that control scheme because I played Assault. Mm-hmm. But
even then, I don't, like, when I did have control problems back in the day, I remembered I did have control problems with games. Like, I don't think it has much to do with I guess, being too young to remember my struggles of learning the controls.
Your comps?
Yeah. Because I remember I did have... Did you just say Mein Kampf?
No, your comps.
Oh,
Kampf is German for struggle.
I know. And so I remember having trouble with Luigi's Mansion, for example, on the GameCube.
Yeah. I swear that stunning the ghosts with the light bulb is one of the most finicky things you can do. Like, compared to Luigi's Mansion 2, where, like, you get this big
Mansion 2
flash
makes
bulb.
It so... Yeah. Makes it so easy, but that's pretty good, though, in my opinion. Even though I like the... Isn't there a thing in the... Correct me if I'm wrong, but that thing in Luigi's Mansion where you can rotate the C-stick and the analog stick?
Yes.
Yeah, I like that about Luigi's Mansion.
Yeah, that extra degree of control does help, but it's just like at the same time, the fact that the ghosts never want to get stunned with the flashlight always annoyed me. Like, it's like a very specific thing. You have to do it in exactly the right way or it doesn't work. And you can make it. It
takes a while to get used to.
Yeah, and then you compare that to the flash bulb in Luigi's Mansion 2, where you just, like, charge it up, shoot it, everything gets stunned right away, and then you just suck them up, and then that's it.
Luigi's Mansion 2 was a pretty gosh darn good sequel. I had a lot of fun with that game.
I think that if they were to do another one, though, they'd have to add a couple new mechanics.
Yeah, definitely.
Because, like, they didn't even have the elemental ghosts in Luigi's Mansion 2, if I remember correctly.
It kind of seemed to me like Luigi's Mansion 2 was rushed to meet the year of Luigi.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. I don't remember running into many glitches or unfinished parts, but...
There were many, like, I was surprised when I played it again how... I wouldn't say it's lacking in content, but compared to Luigi's Mansion 1, there's definitely less of it.
Well, I mean, Luigi's Mansion 2 is clearly longer than the first one. But if you mean like there's less variety in the bosses,
Yes.
and there's less, they don't have elemental ghosts. Like what I should be doing here is landing on the other side and aiming for that red spot. But for some reason, I felt when I first played this, I felt compelled to try to fly and hit him, and that's not what you want to do, folks.
Folks.
Yeah, folks. If you say fucking folks again, I'm gonna pop you one, Michael.
Is that Eric?
Yeah, that's Zebro's original right there.
So out of curiosity, I saw you playing the Ratchet and Clank 2 with Eric.
Yep.
And have you played the PS4 one?
I have not, because I still do not own a PS4. But it's like there are two questions that I get, like, consistently all the time. The first one is, when are you going to do a remake or re-break for Super Mario 64 DS? And then the other one is, have you played Ratchet and Clank on PS4 yet?
Yeah.
And it's like nobody's fault that this keeps getting asked, because it's not like they're going to know, you know? But it's still like... gosh, I feel like there's an example in like a kid's cartoon show of like a question that somebody gets asked all the time, like, are you finished with those errands, Squidward?
Yeah.
You know, that's sort of what it feels like, but yeah, that's how you defeat Andross. I mean,
Nice.
Like, compared to Andross Brain, where it felt like just trying to aim and shoot at him was a huge pain in the ass, I much prefer this boss.
This boss was, aside from the claustrophobic parts, I enjoy this last section quite a bit.
That's pretty cool looking, I gotta say.
Yeah. He's got a very good face.
Yeah.
What I never understood is how, or why is Andross mechanical?
I think it's implied. Yeah,
Nice.
Spoiler alert, I really suck at dodging his attacks here, because I keep expecting him to, like, commit. Yeah, I guess he does do that, but... I guess it's implied that when General Pepper sent him to the other dimension, this happened to him. Or he transformed himself into that to make him, like, immortal or something. Yeah, you see, James was a different color there.
Yeah.
And Andross does see him here.
Why won't you stay dead? Ooh.
That was one of
ouch.
those ironically funny lines from this game.
Yeah, like
you stay
Andross
dead?
is the one who's Andross is the one who should stay dead.
I think it's...
Haha.
Oh yeah, that is pretty ironic, but I think it was King K in his review that said something about, like, Andross saying all these lines about how you're eating out of General Pepper's paws, and how do you know what real justice is? Felt kind of out of place in this game, and I do think I agree with him.
Are you talking about how lines come out of nowhere and there's no development in the plot?
I'm just talking specifically about Andross, about all the stuff he says to you while you fight him. Like, the idea is that he's trying to phase you out and make you doubt yourself, but...
Even though there's no setup to what he's saying.
Yeah, I think that's part of why it doesn't work. Because, like...
Yeah.
It's very clear and obvious to me that Andross is the bad guy, and while General Pepper's not, like, necessarily a good guy or a perfect guy or a gentleman or anything like that, that he is clearly on the correct side of this conflict to be on, Fox.
Yeah.
So that him saying, like, oh, General Pepper's lied to you, don't believe him. You don't know what real justice is. Yeah, it comes out of
nowhere. It's contrived.
It is a little bit. I mean, like, I don't think it's a huge deal, but, you know. But,
that's one of the things that bothered me about this game, too.
Yeah, so, I mean, like, I believe you have played 64 before, because I think you said something about that in your review. So what was it about the story in that game that you thought worked better?
I guess I didn't... The thing was, it didn't have... How do I put it? It seemed... The gameplay... jeez. Put me on the spot here.
I'm just curious.
That it was better because... There were a lot of the moments where it didn't take itself too seriously, and it knew what it was about. It was about a fox in space shooting a giant monkey and fighting a bunch of other animals. And although it had some serious undertones, like your dad died sacrificing himself and his teammate was a traitor, and there's other things in that, there's not many moments where it expects you to care or anything, or it sets up emotional things that it wants you to care about, like Peppy crashing into the desert.
Well, you see, the thing with that is that I thought it was just like Slippy getting shot down to Titania in 64. Like, it's literally the same planet and nearly the same sort of level that you rescue both guys in. The only difference is they swapped out Slippy for Peppy.
But it's supposed to be this thing when they say, I don't remember Zero that much, or 64s with Slippy that much, but when Peppy gets shot down, I believe there's a line about Fox's father. I could be wrong. There's some mention.
I don't think there is. Like, what I recall happening is, like, if you don't defeat Wolf when you first start that level, Peppy gets shot down, and then you have to go to Titania. And all that happens is, I think Wolf shoots him, and he says, like, "Too late, pup," or something like that. Then Peppy gets shot down, and he's just like, "Oh no! I'm going down, Fox!" And then he goes down to the planet, and then I think the level ends shortly after that. And then like, when you go to Titania, it's just like, "Fox, you need to keep heading for for Venom!" And then Fox is like, "I can't leave my teammates behind. I'm going after Peppy."
Oh.
They think that's what happens. And that's more or less what happens with Slippy in 64. Is you're fighting this giant Rob the Robot boss in, like, this space junkyard. And then if you take too long, then Slippy will fly out and try to hit the boss, but then the boss will whap him, and then he'll go flying towards Titania, and you gotta go save him. And they more or less do the same song and dance routine there. Like, you defeat the boss, then General Pepper's like, "Where are you going, Fox?" And it's just like, "I can't leave Slippy behind, General." Then you go down to Titania, and then that's what happens.
Alright. Well, I don't know then, because it's been a while since I played 64, and I've played 0, too. I think that it might have been just that 0 didn't have the same, maybe, impact, because it was so similar to 64, that's why I didn't like 0 as much.
In terms of, like, the story overall?
Yeah.
I could see that.
I think that's what it was.
I mean, honestly, if I could have my way for a Star Fox story, I'd much prefer to see them go back to what they did in Assault. Because, like, at the end of the day, it is a game about a fox that flies around in a spaceship and shoots at monkeys in spaceships. But I think Assault showed for me that these characters in the story can take themselves somewhat seriously without it, clashing with what Star Fox was about.
Yeah.
I don't know. And
no, I would agree.
It feels a little disappointing that they kind of felt the need to go back to this because people were so ambivalent about every game that came out after 64. Because the thing here is that if they didn't go back to doing this sort of storytelling, then people would complain. If they kept with something more like Assault, people would complain. It's kind of like you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. Most people liked 64 better, so we'll do that again.
Yeah, but I mean... I'm sorry, I hit my mic. I think a lot of people would have appreciated if it were different.
I think they would. I mean, like, they probably could have kept the same sort of voice direction and presentation, but still had a new story. I do agree with you.
Yeah, they could have done something different. Or, like, Andross couldn't have even been the final boss. He could have been,
they could have shook things up there as well.
Yeah, he could have been... What if Andross was the first boss, and then you defeat him, the war's over, and then you have to take out, like, Wolf's somebody who's trying to keep Andross's, objectives and motives alive. And then you have to hunt down him and his army and what's left. And then you could have a sequence at the end where you see James McCloud, and instead of turning on him, he was the one who was the traitor, and Pigma just survived or something.
That would have been really interesting.
Just something that would have been more interesting and kept me more engaged with the plot.
Yeah. I mean, I think honestly what they were doing here, because like I heard that originally this game was supposed to be, because like Miyamoto took inspiration for the Star Fox series from the old show called Thunderbirds, and I think what he wanted to do with this game originally was like have it be episodic based.
Yeah.
So like each episode would kind of have its own plot, and Fox and team would do something different that day. But when people were just like, I'm not sure how this is going to pan out, Miyamoto got cold feet and went back and said, you know what, we want to make something that people will like, so we're going to go back to basics for this one. And that's kind of what happened. And my guess is they decided that they wanted to play it safe with the story and experiment more with the gameplay instead. So we have like the most new control scheme here, but we still kind of have the same story.
See, I guess that's kind of okay, but at the same time, doing things different can be better. If you look at Metroid Prime, for example, that took the series in an entirely new direction.
I mean, even then, the story of that game, while it was slightly different, is basically Super Metroid again.
It was, but it was different. Very, very different. It was it had a different tone.
Yeah, I suppose. Like, the lore certainly makes things different. I'm not saying it's the exact same thing, but in terms of, like, you go to a space station at the beginning and it blows up, Ridley gets away, then you're trying to hunt down Ridley and see what's going up on this planet, and then at the end you fight a scary-looking brain-shaped final boss in a cavern. It's not really the same thing, but, like, I guess the fact that the planets are so similar between the two games, and the fact that that first act is kind of so similar, makes me think it's more similar than it is, but, you know.
Or like Sonic Boom, The Rise of Lyric.
What about it?
That did things differently.
Oh yeah, it certainly did. Nobody liked it, though.
That's true.
I mean, like, you didn't even like it, Haedox.
I know.
Haedox.
Haedox?
Yeah, Haedox. I said that by accident. Everybody go on Tumblr and draw Haedox as a duck real quick.
Oh my. I just wish it did something different. You look at games in a series like Paper Mario, excluding Sticker Star and Color Splash, and there's a lot better ones.
Yeah. I mean, I do get what you mean here. But, no. So we're at the end of the part now, but I've kept going with all the other folks I've had on the show so far.
Yeah.
So, is there anything else you'd like to say about Star Fox Zero before we wrap up here?
One thing I want to emphasize is that I think everybody would agree that it could have been a lot better than it is. Regardless of how you feel about the game, whether you hate it or like it, it has a lot of missed potential.
Yeah, I do think I would agree with that.
You wouldn't?
No, I said I would agree with that.
Yeah. It could have done so much more.
Like, even... Like, I haven't gone for all of the other pathways of the medals yet, because, like, I don't know how I've made myself so busy with all this YouTube shit, but, it seems to me like the only level I missed was Titania, or Fortuna. That was the one level I missed. There are no other alternate levels to find in the game.
Yeah.
Everything else is just, you know, extra bosses and medals and stuff, which is fine, but it's just, I feel like the other games had more planets, even if the planets themselves were shorter, you know?
Yeah.
So that's something that I felt was a missed opportunity, because, like, when it comes down to it, the reason why I really do like this game is because I enjoy the control scheme so much. I enjoy having such a ridiculous degree of control to fly around and shoot shit. But, and, like, the game itself is technically longer than the other ones. Well, at least 64, and maybe the SNES one as well.
64 3DS. I recorded, to get from my first playthrough was 2 hours in this game. And I think my playthrough in 64 3D was about 2 hours as well. I could be wrong.
I mean, I'm fairly certain that it only takes about 1 hour to beat 64. when you kind of know what you're doing and you're not dying, you know?
Yeah.
And in Zero, even though I really didn't die all that much, like maybe once in a while, it took me about 3 hours or so of continuous play to get through Andros and see the credits, you know?
Mm.
So it's, I don't know, but it's like, I do feel like we could have had a more original story here. I do feel like there could have been more levels to play. Like, that gyro wing only shows up in that one level, apparently.
Yeah, and well, the gyro wing wasn't that great.
Well, it's just, we spend all this time in development creating this new vehicle to play around with and giving it all its rules, and then by the time you get used to it, there's no more levels to play with it in. You know? It's my least favorite vehicle, too. I'm not saying that's like a great vehicle, but it's just like missed opportunity, just like you said.
Yeah, well, the problem with the gyro wing, in my opinion, is that the level design is so drab and uninteresting for that level that it's in.
Oh, Zonus? Yeah.
Yeah. It, like that, there could have been a level with the gyro wing that was more, I don't know, it didn't have to be focused on, like, disabling pylons and all that. It could have been just sneaking into things, dodging lasers and cameras and beams of light and all that.
Mm-hmm.
With more, maybe, confined spaces, maybe somewhere where it wasn't outdoors or something, I don't know.
Yeah, and I mean, like, I do know, folks, that for Star Fox, the games aren't supposed to be that long, you know?
Mm.
But it's just like, I mean, I think that's partially why I like the SNES game so much, but that game was basically 3 games in one.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it so fun to replay for me, is just to see how well I can do on each pathway, you know, see which pathway has the best, you know, gaggle of levels to play, you know, and then I go back to 64 and it's just like, you have to know to do this obscure stuff to go to the planet you want. And then if you want to play the other ones, you have to replay levels you've already played and then crisscross around. And I just find that a hassle. I just much prefer picking a path. And then we get to Zero and it's just like, they made getting on the pathways more straightforward, but there are less levels to go to.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just, now that it's got a different problem. So it's like, I do agree with you that this game could have been more than it is.
I just wish that maybe it was given more development time. That would have been neat. Because it's missing multiplayer, it's missing... Well, no, I should correct myself. It has multiplayer, but it's missing compelling multiplayer.
It's missing, like, competitive multiplayer is what it's missing, I think.
And anything else other than just pointless multiplayer. And it's just missing quite a bit. I feel as if like you said, there could have been more planets, maybe another vehicle, maybe just something else.
Mm-hmm. I mean, like, the medals do give you an incentive to go back and play old levels and to unlock stuff. So it's not like there's nothing to do after you've beaten the game. And, like, I still haven't even touched arcade mode. That's probably a decent challenge. But
did you know that I wasn't allowed to talk about arcade mode in my review?
Like you like I believe I mentioned earlier on this series that you got a list of stuff from the Federal Communications Commission telling you what you could or could not say about the game.
Yeah.
And it was stupid because one of the things you couldn't talk about was the teleporters, even though Miyamoto said in a public interview that there was teleporters in the game.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, that's dumb.
Yeah, it was very dumb. Whatever. It's just Nintendo being Nintendo.
Alright, I guess I've more or less decided, because there's so much other stuff I want to do this summer, folks, that I am actually not going to be doing a review of this game at this time after all. I mean, like, between this and the podcast and everything else, I feel like I've gotten it all off my chest, and I want to move on to some other games that I've wanted to review for a long time. Like, I want to finish up Jack this summer. I want to finish up Sly.
Ooh.
I want to revisit Ratchet and Clank. And I still need to finish up Klonoa as well, so it's like...
Ooh.
I've got all this stuff I want to work on, so...
I'm in the same boat as you, sister. I've started too many things. That's a problem. See, we both have this problem, I think. We start too many things, or maybe it's just me, but I start all these things in my head and I write all these ideas down, not realizing that I'm not a machine and I can't do everything.
Yeah. I have that problem too, I think.
It's like I want to review every game on my shelf. And it's like, that's not possible. Stop right now.
Yeah, I totally know what you mean. And it's even worse when you review remakes, as like you gotta play the damn game twice. Which isn't that bad, but it takes that extra amount of time you wish you could be using on something else, you know?
Mm-hmm. Well, Jak 3 should be fun to play.
Yeah, I mean, like, I saw Jay's review of it, and I was just like, wow, this game looks really cool and really interesting.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm looking forward to playing that. And I'm also gonna actually redo my Jak 1 review.
Ooh, damn. You shouldn't take that down, though. Don't take that
I've
baby
already
down.
set it to, like, private, because I can't...
Nah.
Because, like, I put, like, a comment and in the description and an annotation saying, this does not represent my views of this game anymore. And I still got comments from people saying, you're wrong about Jak 1. It's perfect and it's great. It's just like,
now you know
I don't
how
think this anymore.
Now you know how I feel with my Splatoon review. I still get comments telling me, hang yourself, bro. How dare you not like Splatoon anymore? And then I'm like,
God forbid we have some difference of opinion on this earth.
Yeah. I feel that way about every review I make. It's like, hello, my name is Internet Boy 63. I disagree with you.
Yeah.
I'm still hoping that one day my Splatoon review the likes will overcome the dislikes. That's the dream.
Yeah. Well, anyways, folks, just to wrap up here quickly, this is Haedox. Could you tell us a little more about what you do, sir, so I can plug your channel?
I make videos about games, and I hate every video game ever made. I also hate every company, and I hate everything. That's my gimmick. It's like, I hate everything. I'm just gonna steal it. I just review video games, and recently I made a video about Activision, and their greed and awfulness.
Yep.
It's one of my favorite videos I've produced, so check that out if you want.
Yep. And Haedox is also on the Unversed Cast with me, Ryan, and King K. So might as well plug that as well, since I haven't in the other episodes. But if you want to see me and these other fine folks I've had on here talk about video games in a semi-organized format, and go ahead and click on this annotation and go check it out. The latest video that we've uploaded is... I wasn't actually in it, but Haedox, King K, and Ryan talked about some updates for Pokemon Sun and Moon, and made funny impressions of me. So go check that out. Yeah.
We did indeed.
Yeah. Well,
all right.
Well, thank you for joining me, Haedox.
Hey.
Yep. All right. So this was ExoPlay Star Fox Zero. I hope you enjoyed. Next video that will be coming out from me will be my review of Klonoa 2 Lunatea's Veil for the PlayStation 2. So, until then, I'm ExoParadigmGamer, and I hope you guys enjoyed the series.
Bye.